Hey up everyone, it's Al here from Danumblades. I'm going to go through a couple of videos about sharpening and basically how I sharpen my knives up. I have got, I've been lent a Lansky system, which I'm going to do the next video on. But to start off with, I'm going to show you how I sharpen my knives up. Now, I use a Tormek system. I've got a Tormek T-8. I did start off with the stone that originally came with it, which is a stone that I believe can be graded between 220 grit and 1000 grit, but I've updated my kit. I've got a few other bits and bobs, and I'm just going to run through those now. So to start off with, the knives that I'm going to be sharpening, I've got a batch of these catcher handles with a row blade, so the catcher row customs handles, like what I did in my last video. I've sculpted them all out and they've all been sandblasted, but I've done a same as last time. So the black and green one with the orange, I've just done the black and green with the yellow line, green liners again. That one is sort of like a lime green colour, and then I've done the orange one, orange and black. So those have all got Kydex sheaths for them, but I'll show you those later on. Right, starting off, each knife, what I've done is I've put a piece of tape on to protect the blade, and then what I'm going to do is put them into one of these jigs. Now I've got a selection of jigs. I've got the original Tormek one. I find these actually quite heavy, quite a bulky piece of material, and when you're doing a few knives, it's almost like it's too heavy to use. So what I did then, I went to Axminster Tools, and they were selling some. These ones, pretty much, I mean, they're not exactly identical, but they're not far off. Lighter to use, so when you've got a lot of knives to do, I find these a little bit more useful. But then I couldn't find any more on the Axminster site. They don't seem to be making their own ones, but basically Record Power, another tool manufacturer, also make a sharpening system as well, because there's a few different ones. But they've got the jigs for those. Again, pretty much the same as what the Axminster ones are, so I bought myself a couple of these. Just so I've got 6 of them, and I can do 6 knives at a time. It just makes it a bit more efficient with your time. So, as well as my jigs, the other things that I've been upgrading to is some diamond wheels. Now, I know that Tormek makes some diamond wheels, and I've got the extra fine one, which I think is around 1000 grit. But I went and bought some from knife grinders in Australia. These have been I would say, a bit of a game changer when it comes to the Tormek. So I bought myself 4 of the wheels. So first one is 80 grit. So that one I use basically to start my bevels off. On my knives, I actually grind with the belt grinder around about 60-80 grit, just to start the bevels off. Then I can start it. Once I've done that, I can get it ready. I'll stick it onto the 80 grit wheel. Then I've got myself a 160 grit wheel, which is the next step up. So basically I'll take it with the 80 grit until both of the bevels are ground in. All the basically the burr along the edge of the knife is there. Then I swap onto the 60 grit, give it a couple of passes with the 60 grit. And then to finish off with those two, I've got a 400. Again, a little bit finer. Now this wheel's slightly different. So the 80 and the 160 have got basically flat edges. The 400 and the other wheel that I've got, which is the 1000 grit wheel, are a little bit more rounded. It just helps to get basically the end of the bevel into the knife. Gives it a nice curve, nice and easy to sharpen on. So like I say, 400, and then final one, the 1000 grit. These only need 1 pass aside when it comes to finishing the blades off. Once I've done with the wheels, I've got a rock hard felt wheel, again from knife grinders in Australia. This has got covered with a 3000 grit diamond spray, and then that gets 10 passes on either side with a Tormek on one of those. Last couple to do with it, put it onto a strop, and then hopefully it should be nice and sharp. So the next thing to do is get the knives and the jigs ready, and then get them onto the sharpener. Right, I need a bit of tape for the blade, so just wide enough to attach the jig onto. think a bit of sort of cloth tape would probably be better, but this has always worked so far. Jig on, do everything. These are brand new, so I've never used these record power ones before. What I do need to do is level them up though. So what I use is the edge of the bench, and I've got a board that's got lines on it, so I can put the knife in level, tighten it all up, so front one and then the back one. That makes the blade nice and tight. The next thing I need to do is to measure the distance from the back piece here to the front of the blade. Now I've already worked it out. I've got a calculator that works out that I need to have it at 135 millimeters. So set it at 135. There we go. Just close her up. That's it. That's that blade ready now to take onto the grinder. So I'll just work my way through the others and then we'll get started. There we go. Got my send set up. So Tormek's ready. Just need to make sure that I've got the distance right for the back height. Now the way that I've got it, the wheel is going in that direction, so it's going away from me. I've got it set up on basically a frontal vertical base. It's been set up so it's point on the back of the machine. Can be used at the front as well, but I've got it so it's set up from the back. I just find it easy to do so your blade never digs in or anything like that. Some people don't like it. Some people want the stone to be going into the blade. To be honest, I don't find that it makes that much of a difference. One other thing, when it comes to knife sharpening, the Sharpie is your friend. So I'll just go along each of the blades with a Sharpie pen, put the permanent marker on it. I've got it set up, damn it. So I'll go along each of the blades with the Sharpie. This helps just to make sure you can see that the blade's even all the way along. You've actually ground away that first part. One thing I find with the belt linisher that sometimes you can get it to dig in just only a fraction in a couple of places just by the way that you use it. You're twisting your wrist and what have you. To check the height, I've just got a set of verniers, if that's what they're called. Switch it on. I've got it set at 94.83. According to my cheat sheet at the back, for if I've got a blade length from the back of the jig to the front of the blade, it should be 98.84 for a 20-degree bevel on the blade. But that's as close enough for me. So I think I've already set it up. Put it on the back. I'll just adjust it slightly. Just catching. Perfect. Put that one on the side. Raise the water bath up. And there we go. That's ready to start grinding. So I have all my knives in the same direction on the bench. Basically, I'll do it one side, then the opposite side if it needs doing again. Same again. And then once it's done, I always finish that side. So I'll put the blade back down that way and I'll do it on the next grit up. Start again on that one, so I'm not grinding it twice on the same side. So placing the guard against the barrier, lower it down to the blades, nice and steady, you don't need much pressure on it. There we go. Now I can see that this closer edge just needs a little bit more to go off. The rest of it doesn't look too bad, so start again. You can see the burr coming up in places. Oh, that's even better. Just need a tip on that one. It's difficult to tell. I'll try and get it with a camera, but it's getting the burr on the edge. Like you can see it just there. Right, I think one more pass. Yep, that's ready to cut to one side. Start with the next blade. Now I'm set up for the 160 grit wheel. Should only need a couple of passes on either side. The only reason I'd give it 2 passes is just to try and get some of the grind lines out from the 80 grit belt. Like I say, the other 2 will only need 1 pass a piece. Belt on, switch it on, off we go. Right, so that's the 160 done. Now moving on to the 400. So again, as this is only the 400 grit, we only need 1 pass a side. Water's on it. Final diamond stone, 1000 grit, 1 pass a side. Right, so that's all the blades done through all the diamond stones. Next thing is to do is to put it onto the felt wheel. Now what I'm going to do is change the height to what I've been working at. So it's going to be an equivalent, because all the wheels are 250 millimeters round. I know that the angle that I need to be going at is 20 degrees. But on the felt wheel, I'll actually take it up to 21.5 degrees. So it takes it a little bit more in. And what you're doing with the felt wheel is basically taking the burr off the edge of the blade. So that's why it's at a slightly steeper angle. But I'll just get it all swapped over now. Right, so to swap the wheels over, got my felt wheel on. I've put a spacer on this side. Basically, you need to put that in, otherwise the main shaft just drifts to one side and stops working. So that's all clamped up. I just need to make sure that this height's altered. So according to my cheat sheet, it should be at 97.87. I've got it about there. So raise it up. There we go. That's about right. And like I say, this one needs 10 sides. Well, 1 on either side. So set it going. I've given all the blades a bit of a wipe down just to take the excess water off them. Again, I've started on the same side each time. There we go. It does take a while to do each one of these, so I've probably showed you enough. I'll zip through these and then we'll move on to the next step. Right, so on to the final job. I've taken the clamps off, I've just taken the excess moisture off, and I'll just give the blade a little bit of a clean. It still needs sorting out though. But the next job, and the final one that I do, is strop it. Now this is side, basically I've got a double-sided strop, one with compound on the suede side and then the smooth side leather. As you can see, it's got plenty of use. All I'm going to do is put it on the clean side. So it's basically 10 backwards and forwards, and then I'm going to test it on a piece of paper. Right. Yep, that'll do. So what I'll do with these, I'll get the rest of them all finished off. I'll just get a final little clean up, and then I'll leave you with some photos of what they look like. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, like and subscribe and all that crap, and I'll see you later.